Ladies and gentlemen of Notre Dame, welcome to Here Come the Irish. Vic Lombardi alongside my buddy Ryan Harris. And Ryan, the sweet taste of a victory, two of them, in fact, a win streak. Nothing soothes the soul quite like a couple dubs, huh?
Absolutely, especially against a team like North Carolina, who had the number one passing attack in the ACC going into the game against the Irish. And there were big plays made all over the field on both sides of the football.
Well, as you well know, this show is for you, the fans, alumni, everybody who supports the alumni base. We're going to meet some interesting people during the course of the season on this show. We're also going to talk to reporters from the Observer, get you a lowdown of the upcoming opponents and all that business. So we'll talk BYU in a moment because very interesting matchup here, but more on that North Carolina game. The one thing that really caught my attention is how Notre Dame just dominated the line of scrimmage. I mean, when you think of the last few years, back when you were playing, offensive linemen just saying, okay, we're going to win the trenches. That's what they did against Carolina.
And that happens every year, Vic. Every year, an offensive line has to determine that they are going to dictate the pace of the game. That happened for Ohio State in week 1 against the Irish, right? But for the first time against North Carolina, the Irish up front dominated offensively, defensively. It was a beautiful sight, and it was really a continuation of the second half of the Cal game, and that was the difference in the Cal game and for Notre Dame against North Carolina.
How do you think Drew Pine is coming along? I mean, that first game was somewhat rickety, and then when I say come along, it's pretty easy to play quarterback when you're handing off and watching the running backs run for 5 to 10 yards, but you've got to balance that a little bit. You still have to pose a threat.
And he did. He hit Lorenzo Styles, spread the ball all around, made some huge throws to Michael Mayer. I mean, I'm really impressed with Drew Pine. One, that first start at Cal was very shaky to the point where, going into halftime, you didn't know if he was going to be the quarterback coming out. What does he do? He comes out and wins the game and then plays a lights-out game against North Carolina. That's what they need him to do. And I can tell you, Vic, from calling the games, the guys respond a little differently when he's in there. I don't know if he's talking faster or giving them some input or some encouragement, but that team has really come to life behind Drew Pine, Chris Tyree, Audric Estime, and the offensive and defensive lines.
All right, before we keep going here, do you have the same ailment I have right now? Is this fall allergy season, or is that a head cold?
Yeah, that's what it is. I feel great, but my voice is worn. I also did the Baylor BYU game.
Yeah.
And Vic, I've had a speech, a corporate speech every week in between my broadcast. So I think my voice is going a little bit.
For me, it's just hay fever or something. My nose has just been stuffed for days, and it won't be unstuffed. I have no idea. You know what this calls for? A trip to Vegas. That's what it calls for.
Yes.
Nothing soothes the head like a trip to Vegas, for crying out loud. Hey, what do you think Coach Freeman worked on most during the bye week?
Well, I think, one, the expectation to continue to improve. And number two, conditioning. Conditioning was something that was a difference for Notre Dame against North Carolina. And going against BYU, they are going to have to be conditioned to play 4 quarters or more of football. So that at the end of the day, raising that expectation, hey, good for you. We ended with a win going into the bye week. We need more wins, and it starts this week against BYU.
Well, love the way the Irish pushed around North Carolina. And if you want to relive it from a couple weeks ago, let's take a look back at that W in Chapel Hill.
Notre Dame has come to Chapel Hill to take on North Carolina.
Giving him seeing the field is an absolute strength of his.
He didn't see the rush coming that time from the blind side, and down he goes. Riley Mills gets the sack at the 6-yard line. But it was a first down to end the first quarter. For Drew Pine. Down the sideline, wide open Logan Diggs. Makes a move, and there's the chunk play that Mac Brown was worried about. Play action. Wide open is Mayer, and he's going to walk in for a Notre Dame touchdown. Tough to lose track of Michael Mayer. Estime right up the middle into the secondary, and there goes Audric Estime. Close to the North Carolina 30-yard line. Play action. Shot to the end zone. Touchdown. Lorenzo Styles. Flag down back in the offensive massive backfield. He'll run it again, and he will walk into the end zone. An easy Notre Dame touchdown. Back in the first quarter. But this one, he's got. Play action. Pine down the sideline, wide open. A busted coverage and an easy touchdown for Logan Diggs. 29 yards. And now part of Mac Brown's staff at North Carolina. The blitz comes up the middle. Losing the football is May. Tried to avoid the rush. J.D. Bertrand came right up the middle and caused havoc. First and goal, handoff to the up back, Estime. He tries to leap over the pile and does for a Notre Dame touchdown. Tyree at the goal line. He's in for the Notre Dame touchdown. And a 45-32 win as Notre Dame makes it back-to-back victories.
Well, what a video that was. And here's one of my favorite parts of the show. We get to talk to one of the insiders on campus, Mr. Aiden Thomas of The Observer. Aiden, how you doing, my friend?
You know, doing a lot better. Like you guys said, a couple of wins since I was last on the show, so ready to get back to it today.
Now, one, if you keep losing weight, I'm going to get upset with you because you're proving it can be done. I'm telling myself a lot of lies around the dessert tables these days. But where the heck are you right now? Is that a whiteboard? Are you actually a coach now?
No, I wish. Maybe that'll be in the future. But right now, I'm actually in the Observer office. So where it all happens a little bit. So we got our special editions that we publish for all of our football game days right behind me. But this is where I spend a handful of late nights during the year.
Well, hey, I can tell you, Aiden, that matters. Those highlights and those specials. It was really cool. When I was on campus, the Observer did a whole article about me being Muslim on campus, and it was something really cool. My mother still has that article at the house. But let's get to BYU. First, we're starting with the defense. You know how to break them down. Give us a 30,000-foot view of this BYU defense.
Yeah, looking at BYU, 30,000-foot view. The name of the game for them is just experience. They're battle tested. They came into the year, I believe they returned 10 of 11 starters from last year, and a defense that was somewhat of a weak link for them in 2021. But when you return that many starters, you just have experience, you have depth, and they've come into the year and they've already faced Baylor, they've already faced Oregon, and they kind of got tested last week against Utah State, which wasn't really expected. But so they have a lot of talent, a lot of experience, a lot of depth, and they're really tested in these tighter, closer games on the big stage. So when it comes to BYU, very similar in some aspects to the challenges Notre Dame faced against Cal, which is a lot of really talented linebackers and a pretty solid secondary. So Notre Dame's going to really have to find a way to kind of attack them there and also find a way to attack them where they're a little weaker.
Well, who are some of those players that the Irish are going to attack on the BYU defense?
Yeah, so starting with the players you kind of want to stay away from. The playmakers, again, in that linebacker core, you've got Max Tooley, you got Ben Bywater. So those are two guys. They both have 2 interceptions. They both have a couple of tackles for loss, a sack already this year. And BYU likes to highlight kind of like hybrid linebacker positions where you kind of, you're all over the place on the field. They really adjust those linebacker roles depending on the opponent's offensive scheme. So if you're Drew Pine, that one interception he threw earlier this year when he came in relief for the Marshall game was really just not seeing a linebacker in the flat. And they had some issues getting going against Cal. So you really want Pine to be focusing on making sure his reads, looking at prioritizing that first, second read and really keeping an eye out for Tooley and Bywater because they will make plays in the passing game and they can stop the run very effectively.
All right, Aiden, one of these days you're going to actually have an offensive coordinator's hat. I look forward to that. Until then, put on that imaginary offensive coordinator's hat. How do the Irish attack this talented and experienced defense of BYU?
Well, Ryan, I know you hate it when I talk about offensive line and running the ball and establishing your presence in the trenches, but I'm going to have to go back to it because that's where Notre Dame has to attack BYU. BYU they gave up 212 rushing yards against Oregon. They gave up 204 against Utah State. They've been vulnerable on the ground, and that's, of course, where Notre Dame has found their offensive success. And, you've got Joe Alt. He's the best. He's really been the best player for Notre Dame all season long, pretty consistently, especially on the offense. And so just run the ball, establish the presence on the ground, be successful on 3rd and 4th down, and use that run game to establish manageable 3rd and 4th down situations. And then the other thing I would say is just be successful in the first half, because BYU has a lot of depth, especially in the secondary, which doesn't match up well because Notre Dame doesn't really have that depth in their receiver core. So you really want to get off to a fast start and control the game, so that when BYU is rotating in their 5th, 6th, 7th defensive backs to go up against a pretty tired Notre Dame receiving core, you want to be off to a fast start and have a little bit of margin for error.
We better look out, Aiden, starting with the offensive line and running game. People are going to mistake you not for an editor, but for someone who knows how to win football games. So look out, my friend. Look out. Put that on your resume. I know how to win football games. You'll get more jobs that way, my friend.
Appreciate it, Ryan. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. As always, Aiden. Love getting to talk to you. How about we hear from Coach Marcus Freeman about his thoughts on the BYU matchup?
Ready to roll. We know we have a extremely difficult opponent coming up, and we're looking forward to it. Obviously, the Shamrock Series is what makes Notre Dame unique. It's one of our distinctions, and the chance to go and play a home game in Las Vegas is extremely exciting opportunity versus a really good opponent, and so we're looking forward to it. The bye week went really well. I mean, I think it's a chance for us as a football team to improve. And that was my challenge as a head coach to these guys and to our staff, was we have to find a way to improve in our 3 days of practice, but also to physically and mentally recover. Right? There were some guys that were injured that we had to be able to get them physically recovered, and I think everybody in our program had to mentally recover and prepare for this 8-game stretch coming up. And so,
all right, listen, if you're going to cover a football team for the Notre Dame Observer, you got to go to the ends of the earth to cover that football team. Mannion McGinley joins us now. Mannion, tell me, you are covering this game in Las Vegas this weekend.
We've got some other senior writers that are going to be in
Vegas.
Oh,
my goodness. You lost a lot. I mean, did you at least put your name in the hat? What happened here?
I did. I picked I'll actually be Thanksgiving weekend. I'll be in Southern Cal. So
oh, that's not bad.
I picked a couple of different options.
Yeah. I mean, Southern Cal during the holiday season is pretty good. Vegas now. Okay, fine. I get it. All right. When I say BYU football, what comes to mind?
Jaron Hall.
Okay.
He's an undeniable dual threat quarterback. His eyes are down the field almost the whole time, but he can take off at the last second and get the first if that's necessary. So the Irish are going to need to be able to control that. This year, his farthest has only been 13 yards, but last year he had a couple well over 10 yards. I think it was in 8 different games. So there's really going to need to be control for him, not only making sure that that's not an option when he looks for it, but also making sure we can control the passes he can get off. And he's got a lot of wide receiver depth, and he's hitting more than 250 yards a game, but he's going to be the one to control.
Yeah, and
I'm for sure.
I'm looking at his numbers right now, Mannion. 12 touchdowns, only 1 interception.
Mm-hmm.
So he's pretty accurate. I mean, this is not some some journeyman type guy. You better get to him, and you better get a pass rush on him, right?
Exactly. Yeah, the Irish are going to have to get in the pocket and get around the offensive line.
The offense as a whole, if you look at the BYU offense, they've put up some points, man. I mean, starting with their opening win against South Florida, 50 points in that game. They scored 26 to beat Baylor. They scored 20 in the loss to Oregon, and 38 in the last 2 games. So this is typical BYU. BYU's always been a sort of an offensive juggernaut. What kind of offense do they run?
It's definitely mostly passing oriented. They've got wide receiver depth, just that they know how to take advantage of, especially with Keanu Hill and Cody Epps stepping up when their top 2 receivers went down with injuries. But Paku Nakua and Chase Roberts are back on the table this week. They're not definites, but if they're in the game, the passing game is going to be dominant for BYU. What's going to be the answer for the Irish is taking away their running option. In games that have been close for BYU, or even in the loss, it's when they could keep Christopher Brown Jr. under 30 yards and the running backs as a whole under 100 yards. So it's really just going to be making the passing game the only option and then shutting down that option.
Yeah, make them one-dimensional. The other thing that comes to mind when I think of BYU, have you seen their mascot pull those stunts? Have you seen him do push-ups off a table?
Yep.
I mean, are you kidding? I mean, I don't know what they call that mascot. I forgot what his name is. But what I want to see is the leprechaun versus the mascot in a push-up contest. And
I agree.
If that's the case, Leprechaun better get his game face on, because that ain't going to be easy.
I think Leprechaun Ryan can pull it off. I think
You
he
think
can.
so? All right, we'll send him the message to get to the weight room, because that BYU mascot is something else. Mannion, as usual, thank you so much. I'm sorry that you can't make the trip to Vegas, but Ryan will take care of everything for all of us, okay?
Sounds great.
All
Thank
right.
you, Vic.
Mannion McGinley from The Observer right now. Let's listen to the head coach of the BYU Cougs.
Looking at Notre Dame, I mean, they're a talented team, tons of talent, athleticism, speed, and I think, looking at their coach Marcus Freeman is a great coach, man. He has those guys believing and playing, and they've gone through some adversity, and they seem to get things back on track now. So looking forward to a great matchup with them. We know that they're dangerous, and we don't mind being underdogs. So we're going to have some fun with the prep, get ready for this game, and looking forward to the matchup this weekend.
On this show, we get to interview some legends, and we all know from going to and being around Notre Dame that the legends at school go far beyond the football field in many, many ways. Well, here's one of the greatest legends in Notre Dame's history, Lieutenant Colonel John Paul Andre. Way to join us, brother.
Hey, thank you so much, Ryan. It's very nice to be here today.
Now, we're going to go into a lot beyond the fact that you have the greatest year ever to graduate. Shout out to 07 crew. But let me get this straight. Walk me through what happened here. The Marshall game, Lieutenant Colonel Andre and his squadron actually did a flyover. And Lieutenant Colonel, you actually had your father pass that same week. What was that experience like, that whole week?
Yeah, so a little bit of background on this. So I'm a special operations pilot. I do it part-time now in the reserves. After graduating from Notre Dame as aerospace engineering, I flew fighters and then got into special operations for many years, went back to business school, and then do part-time in the reserves. And one of the things we wanted to do is reach out to the Det 225, which is our Air Force ROTC unit, to do some training with them. It's a great opportunity anytime we can come back and work with the cadets. And in this case, we wanted to share a little bit about special operations, the kind of work that we do, working with partner nations around the world. I myself have been deployed to 5 continents, and during that time, Afghanistan, Central and South America, Africa, Europe, other parts of the Middle East, Asia, and want to be able to give them a little bit of that flavor. During that time, we found out that we could actually fly the cadets around. So that morning, we actually got up, got a chance to fly the cadets around the area, get to see a little bit of the tactical work we do. And then because there was no one else available to do the flyover, we were asked by Notre Dame to do that. My dad at the time was suffering from throat cancer. That week prior to it, when we found out we were going to do the flyover, which was, big Notre Dame, alum, fan, it's kind of a dream come true. My dad was so proud. He was so excited and so happy about it. And he turned to my sister and my mom in the hospital where he was recovering. He said, "You're going to the game." And he was trying to get the strength back to be able to go himself. That Sunday, just prior to this, my dad was having a great day. They actually looked at him and he said, "Your cancer is gone." And it's something that my mom and my sister have been praying for in Novena. We're all praying with all of the family. They had actually just said the rosary with my dad. They just given him communion. He was having a great, wonderful day. And within 45 minutes later, he suddenly died. We think like a pulmonary embolism. And it was a complete shock. It was not something on anyone's radar, any idea that we were going to do. And so it was a question, would we even continue doing what we were deciding to do? And my mom and my sister called me up and they said, "Dad said, you're going to the game." So I flew our mission up. It was a little hard to do, but we got to Notre Dame that Friday. We spent Friday and Saturday with the cadets, having a wonderful time training them. And then that Saturday afternoon, got up in the air, getting ready for the Marshall game. And I'll tell you, look, I flew fighters and I flew special operations now for a long time. Special operations is all about flying slow. Think of it like a bush pilot landing on roads and riverbeds and sides of mountains, and like night vision goggles and things like that, working with our counterparts like the Navy SEALs or the Green Berets. So we're not going to be fast and we're not going to be loud. but we will be the slowest flyover in Notre Dame history. And that's what we did. So we brought some of our special operations airplanes over, and we hacked the timing. It was right on. And it was just this wonderful feeling, flying right over the stadium, looking down at the students, looking straight ahead at Touchdown Jesus, and feeling my dad was there with us. It was truly an honor. It's a great chance to be able to give back to the Notre Dame community, to give back to everyone. And then coming back around as we landed, giving a little wing rock to the cadets and everyone on the stadium before landing and coming back.
What an incredible story. I'm not crying. You're crying, Lieutenant Colonel. I mean, incredible. And we'll get to your illustrious career, because I got a question for you about a little landing and going, saying you're slow. I'm gonna call you on that one. But you also had the flag that you had carried for all of your flights. What'd you do with that flag after you flew it at Notre Dame? Yeah,
so I actually had two flags. And a little bit of background, these are flags I've flown around. Were with me in Afghanistan, in Africa, in Central and South America, kind of all over the world. And so it was everywhere that we were in combat, I took these flags. I gave one to the Notre Dame ROTC unit. So Colonel Culbertson now has that flag over at the Pass Guerrilla Center. And then the second one I gave to my dad. And so it's only fitting. He was so proud of me. I had to clean out his office the week of the funeral, right after, just days after the flyover. And up on his top shelf had everything that I had ever sent him from overseas and from Afghanistan, all these other places. And it was a real fitting tribute to be able to give him that flag and to have him buried with it.
Just the epitome of a Notre Dame alumni. God, family, Notre Dame. Now, I remember when I came to my unofficial visit at Notre Dame, there was a flyover, and it came over right to left. And as my dad was on my left, I turned and I saw he had tears flowing from his eyes just being at Notre Dame Stadium. What's one memory you have of your father and you at Notre Dame, or even of you telling him you were going to go to Notre Dame, that you could share with us today?
I'd say there's so many. I just remember graduation and standing there, walking up the steps of the Golden Dome, which, as we all know, you don't do until you graduate. My dad hugging me, and just big. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5". You're bigger. My dad's 6'7", and he's even short for his family. And wrapping me up in a big bear hug and just saying, "I'm so proud of you," and just repeating that, "I'm so, so proud of you." And that's carried on throughout my whole life. No matter what I've done, my dad was always so, so proud of both myself, my sisters Lauren and Kristen. Kristen's also a Notre Dame alum of 12. My mom went to St. Mary's back in the day, so a big, strong family tradition. And my uncles and some of my cousins have also gone there. So my dad was always a massive Notre Dame fan, and he was just, for his kids to be able to go there, he invested everything into his kids. And for us to be able to do this, it's really a testament to him.
Well, we all thank Mr. Andre for you and your sisters, your family. Now let's turn to something in your wheelhouse, a little more fun, maybe not fun. You've flown over 2,000 hours in a war zone. Before we get to that, before we get to all that entails, just teach us, if we ever find ourselves flying in a war zone, what are the first two things that we got to remember?
The first two things I'd say are, remember your training and stay calm. Combat, isn't like, it isn't quite like the movies. And all of our training, and the reason why we train so much, just like you train in football, and just like all of our Irish, train every day, is so that when you're in that moment, you're not thinking about it. It's reflective and it's instinctual, and that frees up your mind to focus on what's really going on around you. And you're not worried about the little things. And I've been in a couple hairy situations, and there are people out there who have done far more than I have. I'm just one small piece. I'm very humble to say I can be one small piece in the big things that we've been able to do in the U.S. It's all about training and kind of calm under pressure.
All right. No throttle information, nothing. I'm literally flying blind, but I'll remember the training. I got you. Now, teach us how to do this, because I couldn't believe this reading up and researching for you. You have landed in a 3-layer jungle canopy and touched down for 12 seconds and took off again. What is that? What does that entail? How difficult?
It's actually I would say like it's a ton of fun. You know, being able to fly really small planes, in foreign countries, and like in that example, we're flying in the middle of Africa. That's actually an operation we were doing. If you remember the thing, Coney 2012, that we were going against Joseph Kony,
Yes,
the Lord Army. So we were part of the special operations team that was on the ground there, helping children who were child soldiers captured by him reconstitute and get back to families in peaceful areas. And so a lot of it is you're going to places that are in the middle of nowhere, that you're landing on a little Jeep trail. And many times you're landing in the middle of the night or on night vision goggles. So I would say it goes back to that training. You're looking at a couple of little lit up dots way off in the distance, and then landing on a really rough surface, kicking the guys out in the back, and then immediately taking off again. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of training. I encourage anyone who's interested in it, though, to reach out, because it is, I will say, it's a blast. Being able to do that kind of mission is unlike almost anything else anyone else does in the Air Force, because we're basically a couple of pilots out in the middle of nowhere, doing kind of off on our own. That was what we call it: alone and unafraid.
Alone and unafraid in a jungle canopy for 12 seconds before you take off again. Maybe you could teach some of us parents how to do that at pickup and drop off for our kids, safely let them exit the vehicle and then take off again. Now, one of the things I'm very interested in, Lieutenant Colonel, you've traveled all around the world, tasted food of every kind. How did your travels with the military change your perspective on peace, on love, on how connected we all are? How did you change with all of your impactful travel?
Yeah, I think there's something in Notre Dame that we talk about, which is, we're all made in God's image. We're all great. We're all wonderful people. And when you get around the world and you get to see that, you realize that everybody's the same. Everybody has hopes and dreams. There's great people out there. There's bad people out there too, but everybody's similar. And I have had people who have gone out of their way to help me when they had no business doing so. And that is, it's not because we had the same background or knew the same things or anything like that. It was just because they saw a fellow human being who was in need of help. And I think that, to me, is one of the biggest takeaways, is that, what makes us similar as all humans on Earth is far more important than what makes us different.
I mean, amazing. All right, two quick ones to let you go. I could talk to you for hours. I mean, what you've accomplished, how you represent Notre Dame, truly incredible. But two quick ones, if that's okay with you, sir. Lieutenant Colonel, the movie Maverick was awesome. I saw it twice. My kids loved it. As a pilot, and you see that Top Gun movie, whether it's the first one or the second one, Maverick, what are you thinking when you watch that?
I'll tell you, it still gets me chills, because getting to be in the airplane, the best thing about that movie is they got it right when it came to pulling G's. And so going fast and feeling the effort of being in the airplane, it's a blast. So that part of it. And I'll tell you, if it gets one more person to say, I'm interested in being a pilot, or I want to join the military, and I'm interested in doing these things, then so much the better.
Well, not too many bases in San Diego, though, right? I mean, you're not going to be playing football like that on San Diego, but I'm with you. It was one of the coolest sounds to me is they kind of had the air just rippling over the plane. What is that? Can you explain that to us, that sound?
Are you talking about like the sonic boom, or are you talking about just kind of just like
like when he's turning and flipping, you hear that, that kind of like fluttering sound of the air ripping through.
Oh yeah, depending on how fast you're going, you're getting a little shock, or you can actually you hear the wind when you're going so fast, you learn that flying as a military pilot is not so much you inside the airplane. It is you're strapping the plane around you, and you're putting the plane wherever you want it. I think that's the most amazing part of it, is you truly are just flying through space and flying through that air and feeling it, and really getting, no matter if you're going fast, you're going slow, whatever it is, it's an awesome experience.
Well, after experiences like that, I'm not sure if your favorite football experience while on campus is going to match it. But what's one of your favorite memories, as we wrap up, about going to a football game or watching a game while at Notre Dame?
I would have to say probably one of the best experiences was being a senior and go to the games. And I can't even just name one, because I think just the entire experience of being a student in the student section at Notre Dame Stadium is unlike anything else. And like I said, throwing my friends up so we can do push-ups, or chanting along to things, or rushing onto the field. Those moments are some of the best. I do have to say, if I had to pick one moment that would be like probably life-changing, and is going to be that flyover and walking out on the stadium in support of my dad, though, because that really is something special. And I just want to thank the entire Notre Dame community for allowing, kind of enabling that to happen. It's a great tribute to my dad. It's a wonderful opportunity for us. And I'm just so thankful to be able to be part of the community.
Well, I'll tell you what, Lieutenant Colonel Andrew, when it's always amazing to me how many pilots, they unzip that suit and they got a Notre Dame shirt because they went there. You are one of the many who served our country after attending Notre Dame. And thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Andrew, for all of your service. We will never forget the sacrifice you and your family make. And we will never now forget Mr. Andrew, your father, because of your amazing stories and, of course, his amazing family. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Colonel.
Thank you so much, Ryan. And go Irish.
Go Irish indeed. Well, wipe the tears away, because it's time to beat Vic Lombardi in Vic's Picks.
Wow, some powerful stuff there from Lieutenant Colonel Andrew. Time now to pick against Vic. Pick like a champion today. If you can beat me in our weekly pick segment, you win a Here Comes the Irish hoodie. Last week, we gave away one of them. Congratulations to Father Robert Lasowski. He walked away with a hoodie. The rest of you lost. I don't want you to lose, but I can't help it if I pick better than you do. So let's see what you got for us this week. Our first guest on the list, representing the athletic director's circle, is Larry Iwanski from North Carolina. Larry, how are you, my man?
What's going on, Vic? How you doing?
Did I pronounce the last name correctly?
Yeah, Iwanski, perfect.
Got it. All right, beautiful. How was your Notre Dame experience, by the way?
Listen, I was a 2-summer master's in accounting guy, and apparently they don't play football in the summer, so I kind of missed out on that piece.
So what I was going to say, what did you do during the summers in South Bend?
Listen, this is going to sound confusing, but I stayed in McGlynn Hall. So all these Notre Dame people are going to realize that it was, at least at the time, was only one of few air-conditioned dormitories at Notre
Romp, and you're like, oh, well, what about that guy? And this, you learn every year there's just another name that comes up and flourishes in this offense, and that is so fun to watch.
Yes, sir.
Steve, good luck to you, my man.
Go Irish.
Take care. Up next, from the Congregation of Holy Cross, Father Dan Goody, VP and Associate Provost of Undergraduate Education. Father, how's campus treating you right now?
Vic, we're doing pretty well. We're actually broadcasting right from underneath the dome.
Are you really? Like, how far?
Right outside that door.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, just to give us a little geography, when you say right underneath the dome, this dome right above your head? I mean, are you the last level there?
I've got my door turned to the left. It's about 3 yards away.
Wow. That's pretty cool. I used to have a class there. I took a history class in that building. I thought it was the coolest thing to have a class in the dome building. Father, are you going to Vegas?
I'm not going to Vegas.
Why not?
It's no protest or anything like that. I'm actually going to see it from afar. I've got some meetings this weekend in Pennsylvania, so I'm going to watch it from there.
All right, I don't blame you. Let's check your football acumen, Father. Who do you like this week? Give us a score.
Well, certainly the Irish, and I think there's 2 perfect numbers in the Bible. One's 3 and one's 7, and you multiply that together, it's going to be 21-7.
21-7 Irish from Father Dan. Father, I appreciate it. Go polish that dome for us. Keep it nice and clean.
Great, thanks.
Take care.
See ya.
Representing the Order of St. Thomas More, a Subway alum from Canada, Ontario, Canada, Paul Condon joins us on the program. Hey, Paul, how are you?
I'm well, Vic. How about you?
Good. How'd you become a Notre Dame fan? Give us the story.
Oh, a couple of things. Irish Catholic family, distant. My father was a distant relative of Frank Leahy, so I got it from day one.
And where are you zooming us from today? What's your broadcast?
Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, which is across the border from the north end of Michigan.
Do you speak French?
Un peu.
Oh, okay. Very good. I mean, that's all I need to hear. All right. Tell us who you like this week.
I like the Irish again, 34-30. I think the Irish offense comes alive, and they put up 315 yards.
34-30. That's awfully close to what I'm about to tell the folks. Paul, thank you very much. Good luck to you.
Thanks, Vic. Go Irish.
Right. Last one up from the Rockney Athletics Fund out of Houston, Texas, class of 17. It's Mark Frank. What up, Mark?
Not too much. How are you today, Vic?
You in the office?
Home office.
Home office. What do you do?
Even better. I do consulting.
Man, everybody, like a bunch of my Notre Dame buddies are consultants. And I mean this with all due respect. What do consultants do? What are you consulting?
I do healthcare, so basically just say it depends a lot.
I love that job. I want to consult. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life. What do you do? I'm just consulting. I'm consulting on sports. I'm consulting on football picks. All right, please consult us. Who do you like this week?
I have to agree with everyone else. I like the Irish and pretty close. Delarious prediction. I'm going 31-24 though.
31-24, 350 yards offense from Mark Frank. Mark, good luck. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, so you heard their picks, and they were very close to mine, to be honest with you. So this is going to be a close call. I think the Irish are going to win, and I'm going to harken back to an old score from the heyday when they beat Miami 31-30. I think it's going to be that kind of game. It's going to come down to the last minute, maybe a missed extra point. Who knows? 31-30 Notre Dame. They're not, obviously, the spread's in jeopardy there, but 489 yards of offense for the Irish in this game. So I like it. I like it close, though. Here's a look now at those Shamrock Series unis that we saw a couple weeks ago and what's in store in Vegas.
That's right. Now you gotta reach out to Chris to talk to me now. Ironic how I'm who they miss, they target me now. Try to be next to me, but I give them Destiny's Child. That's. Am I the realest? Okay, I feel it. New levels, new devils. Dundee way, I'm a rebel. Walking through my parents' house, forgot I had a Grammy medal. Old heads from the scene back then could tell that I was special. Young Jack, ain't no looking back. Look where that could get you. Talk of the town, talk of the town. Now you gotta reach out to Chris to talk to me now. Ironic how I'm who they miss, they target me now. Try to be next to me, but I give them Destiny's Child. That's. Am I the realest? Okay, I feel it.
All right, let's bring back Ryan Harris for some final thoughts as we gear up for Notre Dame BYU. First of all, Ryan, I hope you make it to kickoff on time because when are you going to be in Vegas? Be careful.
I get to Vegas at 11 a.m. and I'm drinking a lot of water. I'm going to go to a pool party, though. I'm allowed to have fun, but I'm going to go to a pool party with some Notre Dame greats. And then you know me, Vic. I'm an old dad, so like anything after 9:30, anyways, is going to be rough. But I'm looking forward to an incredible atmosphere, great food, and just a great experience. What an opportunity for these guys to play in a future NFL stadium in one of the most amazing environments outside of a conference championship or college football playoff all year long.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, to play there where the Raiders play their games against a fellow independent. It's BYU, Notre Dame. Just top of your head, listen, Vegas is closer to Utah. What do you think the fan dispersal is going to look like?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of fans without colors. I mean, you get to see Notre Dame, and especially in that type of a region, Nevada, New Mexico. Notre Dame doesn't go there a lot. Yeah. And there's going to be people from out of the country that are coming to see this game. But I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of buses from BYU rolling up about an hour and a half to 2 hours before game time. But the Irish, though few in number, are always loud. So it's going to be a raucous atmosphere.
All right, what are your keys? What do the Irish do to beat BYU?
Number one, play physical, and that's on both sides of the football. When the Irish play physical, other teams do not want a part of it. North Carolina says hello. You should have seen Vic in person when I'm watching and broadcasting that game on the Notre Dame Radio Network. These guys are ducking out of the way, trying to tackle Audric Estime, and really showing that they don't have the heart to sit in there for 4 quarters. So be physical, number 1. Number 2, run the football offensively. And number 3, stop the run and the big play defensively. They do those 3 things. It's going to be an Irish W and a continuation of the win streak.
I love how Estime just punishes, right? He's looking for contact. He's one of those guys that, come on, who wants some of this? Bring it to me.
And do it while he can, right? Because when he gets to the NFL, I don't care how big you are. You got linebackers like Fred Warner and company that you're not going to want to seek contact when you make it to the NFL. So enjoy it while you can, Audric Estime.
Any Notre Dame fans going to Vegas, so you all know, Ryan Harris will be there, and he too will be looking for contact. Ryan, have a great weekend. Have a great call. Go Irish.
Go Irish.
All right, buddy. Thanks for watching. Here come the Irish. We'll leave you now with the drum line performing the Notre Dame Victory March.